thirdly, there's a reference to the nearly going back up to 2 million visitors that Saltburn got last year. It's going back up to its pre-COVID levels. When will Saltburn get the amount of investment that's consonant with that kind of potential for earning money for the borough? Fourthly, I saw that there are 200,000 visitors stay overnight in Redcar. Is that, because obviously the steam date is about tourism, so all of those 200 tourists, or are some of them come for work reasons? And finally, I filled in the green form for this one. There are lists of events, of really good events, at the end of your report. And if you look, there's first of all the blue events. They don't look blue on here, but they're the ones supported by the council, and some really big ones, you know, the 15,000 for the national championships, 17,000 for Between the Tides. And then on the list of ISAG supported external events, again, there's a big mixture there. There's the Saltburn Folk Festival is listed, right down to a walk in Billingham, a folklore festival outdoor creative walk that involved 100 people. Now, there's another event that brings in 20,000 people that is advertised by newspapers to around 500,000 people, that has about 500,000 interactions on Facebook, that has 150 stalls and community groups, and isn't mentioned here at all. And of course I'm referring to Saltburn Food Festival. And I wish this was the first time, or even the 10th time, that I'd noticed that it had been missed out, because there is, it seems, very much a bias in the council against the food festival, which is why it never gets listed. And I'd just like to know, could you ask your officers, what have we done wrong? You know, how did we offend? You know, why are they so ashamed of Saltburn Food Festival? I'm not asking for anything, but, you know, to be listed alongside the Billingham Folklore Festival Outdoor Creative Walk would at least be polite. Thank you very much.
Being addressed at the required pace. I didn't see that as ticking off our residents. Maybe some people do, but I think we all need a bit of inspiration to get into it a little bit and do a little bit more. The second question, about mitigation, what is happening at the moment is some of our officers working on the nature recovery strategy, which is to do with planning and new developments and how things are built and how they can be made to take into consideration climate change and nature and its recovery. So I hope that addresses that question. Investment into Saltburn.
It's good about me. Yeah, Councillor Kay. Whoa. I'm the chair, not you, right? So, yeah, I'll direct you, yeah? Basically, Councillor Richardson has asked us, because she's here tonight, that she can ask the question sitting down. I've said yes. Maybe I should have said that at the beginning so everyone knew, but that was what was said, yeah? All right? Thank you. Carry on, Councillor Richardson.
I did. Sorry about that. I don't know when we'll have more money to invest. I'd love to say that there was some there, but, you know, finances aren't going in that direction. And yes, the food festival should be listed there. It is fabulous, and you haven't done anything to offend me. So I will ensure in any further lists of events it's there. All right.
Thank you. Councillor Kerr, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Richardson. We're very grateful for your report because it gives us something to discuss. It's very, very unusual for a cabinet meeting to be cancelled. I'm not sure whether you have nothing to talk about, but 12 weeks between cabinet meetings is really quite remarkable. But however, I'll ask my questions now, if I may, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your report, it's very comprehensive. You mentioned on page 25 about the 16,000 trees being planted. Now we had 10 or 12 planted along the lines in Belmont. Now unfortunately every single one of them was broken, was vandalised. So I'm wondering what the success rate is of our tree planting and whether there is anything more we can do to minimise the vandalism maybe. The recycling that you mentioned on page 27, you mentioned about the work we do with schools and with residents. I'm wondering what happens to the businesses and how they go about recycling. For example, we have bins in Gisborough town centre, large bins overflowing, mainly with cardboard often it seems. So I'm wondering what happens to that, okay? Page 29, the STEAM data, the numbers of visitors and the spend. Unfortunately, the data is old. I'm not sure what we can do to make it more timely, but it is very interesting. The numbers of visitors to Gisborough is a fraction of those to Saltburn, and yet the spend is much higher. It's actually £93.66 per person in Gisborough and around £52 in Saltburn. So I'm wondering what that is telling us and how that data is informing our destination management plan and our town centre strategy for that matter. And finally, if I may, the visitor accommodation study, it's on page 31, does it include holiday lets, which is a significant and a growing sector? And I must declare an interest here perhaps because I do have a holiday let in Gisborough. So is that okay to ask that question? Because I don't see holiday lets mentioned in the report at all. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Richardson?
Trees and vandalism, I don't know what the success rate is of planting trees, but I do know that the new fund is for more established older trees to go in because they have more of a success rate of remaining in place. But of course they're much more expensive to plant, and then if kids rip them out you've lost more money. So I don't know what we can do about vandalism. It's same in my ward, you know, we put 8 in and I think there's 4 left. So I don't know about businesses recycling, that's more of the environment portfolio, but I can find out from Councillor Brooks and get back to you on that one. The STEAM data is as up to date as we have, and I again will have to ask Laura how the consultants for the destination management plan took that into consideration. And the VCA, I have a copy of, so I can send it to you straight away if you'd like to see it, and then you can circulate and see what's on it. Okay.
Thank you. Just before I move on, I've got 9 speakers, so after Councillor Joy, I'm not going to get any more, bring anyone else in, because it's only scheduled for 10 minutes, and it's been 10 minutes now, so by the time all these go through, it's going to be well over the 10 minutes, which I haven't got a problem with, but I just want to stop it after Councillor Joy. So move on to Councillor Hart, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Carrie, for a very comprehensive report. I've got 2 main questions with little bits running down. The first, I want to reiterate what you said and absolutely commend the events team because they do a superb job. What I am sad to see is everything does seem to be Redcar Saltburn focused, and there's a very, very little you know, that's getting spread about to other towns like ours, where we put a lot into the coffers and we don't seem to get a lot back out. And I'd like to see what we can do with that, you know, to support Gisborough and get more events going in our town. The other part of my question is regarding car emissions. And we didn't sort of say a lot about, you know, the short journeys that people make that cause more problems with emissions than some of the things we're focusing on, you know, like use your electric car. And, you know, going down the school route and an education route, is that that's something that I hope we can focus on to get people to walk rather than, you know, go a quarter of a mile to the shops in the car or drop the bairns off a quarter of a mile in the shop, you know, or in the car. We've got a road which everybody's aware of, Stokesay Road in Gisborough, that we can't cross, you know, and I know and I'm grateful that Cabinet Member Lynn Pallister has been looking at with us to see if we can find some solutions. But I'll just give you an example. In Banksfield Road is 0.7 miles long, and it's got 15 safety measures running along that road to reduce traffic and help people cross. Stokesay Road in Gisborough is 1.2 miles long, and we've got 3 safety measures. On top of that, we've got an upside down speed sign, and we've got a school traffic warning sign which doesn't even work. So I'd like to know when we're going to get some proper measures put on that road so that we can encourage people to walk and we can encourage people to safely cross the road. Thank you very much, Councillor Richardson.
Councillor Richardson.
Yes, of course, we want to showcase Gisborough as well, and some of the theatre performances are going to go on there at the primary. So, but yes, we would look into more stuff, and more than willing to have a chat about what kind of things you think would go well up there. Yes, there have been other walk to school projects over the years, but I'm sure it's something the team would look into. They're constantly in contact with school running different short projects with their leaders to see what they can do to help. In terms of measures, that's highways. Not up to me. I'd like to give you a crossing, but I'm afraid that's... It does. My brother lives just off there, so I know how bad it is. And I agree with you. Some, because of the Safer Streets Pack, some roads have loads of things on because the residents have been really proactive, and then the next road's got nothing on. So, yeah, totally agree. Thank you.
Thanks for that. Councillor Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Carrie, for your report. It's just a little thing here. Page 28, 3.1. Economic impact and STEAM data. STEAM, as it says, stands for Scarborough Tourism Economic Activity Monitor and is a tourism economic impact modelling process. Why are we still using them? It gives you figures from 2022. I want to know if the figures actually figures today. Not, you know, what are we using? We've asked this question before ages ago, and are we paying for this usage of Scarborough to give us tourism of information 2 years before? I don't want to know what's happened in 2022. I want to know what's happening now, and I want to know if we're paying for it. So why are we still using it, please? Thank you.
Councillor Richardson.
Okay. I don't know what we're paying for it. I've already asked that question. I haven't received an answer yet. As in terms of how fast the data is, it'll take time to compile. We'll never have it totally up to date as in this year. So what we did this year was we had some independent monitors at the Kite Festival actually counting people in and out, so we had correct figures there and then at our hands straight after the event. I believe that's been grant funded going forward, so I'll have to have a discussion with the team about whether that's what we continue to do or keep going with STEAM. But it's something I need to delve into further. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Nightingale, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations on a really good report, and I think your portfolio is absolutely fundamental to the future of not just the area but the planet. It's a vital portfolio because it is about protecting the environment. And that was why we appointed former Councillor Louise Westbury, and I'm very grateful for the kind comments you made about her. I think Councillor Hunter's actually beat me to the issue I wanted to raise. I wanted to switch the emphasis to ask you what really is the operational value of these STEAM statistics. In 2022, Mr. Mayor, the figures show that near enough the population of Wales came to visit this area, which cannot be possibly an accurate figure whatsoever. So I think it's important that we actually investigate, first of all, the operational value of this. And if it isn't have any value, we should start to use our resources and staff time to encourage people to come here in a different way, and make sure that they actually come rather than just a matter of recording the statistics. But I don't expect an answer, but I'm sure you're doing a great job.
Councillor Richardson, before you speak, can you just put your mic down a bit, because people are struggling. That's it.
Is that all right?
That's it, yeah. Thank you.
Yes, as I said, we need to look into it and whether it's the best method going forward. But I know that it does capture data from things like Airbnb and Booking.com, which actually asks people why they're travelling. Whether they fill that in honestly or not, I don't know. But it is a useful tool while it's the only tool we've got.
Thank you. Councillor Clark, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hope you're going to be okay, Carrie. Hope your little wing's going to get better soon. Get you up and about. Anyway, you know that we met recently with other people, members of the public and other councillors at the St Nicholas's closed churchyard. And there's been a request from around about 2 members of the public for a closed churchyard, of which we as a Borough Council have to maintain at public expense, to become part of this local authority's biodiversity strategy. Now, in my own personal opinion, a churchyard or a cemetery must be handled with respect, and it's got to be maintained correctly, and I don't agree with this request. So I'm going to ask you, have you got an update on this request? And also, if you have you got any names of any groups, etc., that you've consulted with, please? Thank you.
Councillor Richardson.
I haven't. I thought the residents we met there were going to form a group, and that was their plan going forward. It wasn't particularly a council initiative, it was a residents initiative. And for anyone who doesn't know, it is an old churchyard, very, very historical and old. So no, I don't have an update. I haven't had any contact since.
Thank you. Councillor Leroy, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's nice to have a competent mayor in the chair. So thank you very much for that. Right, I'll just touch on a couple of points. First of all, with the counting in and counting out that you mentioned with regards to one of the events recently, perhaps you could move that along to using Google Cache, because that's what we tend to do in infectious disease now, and then just use AI on that, and then it would save you the 2 clickers. The other one, just on the point there that Councillor Hart mentioned there with regards to cycling and getting people out of cars, again, if you use the Google Cache, you would be able to then look at the individual journeys that are being made, and then you'll be able to pick out the long and the short ones. Then you'll be able to target those individual areas to then get those particular journeys down. So again, just use the AI and the Google Cache on that. Right, so first of all, TVCA, STDC, there just seems a bit of a disconnect with regards to the climate change policy and what's happening there. It doesn't appear to be carbon neutral what's happening there. I mean, for example, the incinerator, and the easiest way to start with reducing carbon is to hit the highest emitters first and then start to reduce down. I just don't see any conceptualisation of doing that within the plan. I'll just draw your attention to where we discussed previously about the EV chargers. And what then you did was then you produced a specific strategy, had some objectives, and then now it's working. I just wonder whether that needs to be done with regards to the tree planting, If it's planting along the fringes, okay, we can plant along fringes, but we obviously need to find the areas and plant largely there. The problem is when I've attempted to do this with the TVCA, it's fallen between the gaps of responsibility between the council and TVCA, and it's not come off. So I think that needs to be addressed. Very quickly, just in terms of the planning and heat pump rollout. So there is actually a manufacturer which is rolling out a unit which is under 0.6 metres cubed. Right? This is important because once it goes over that particular diameter, you need planning permission, but you don't if it's under it. So they're producing their own. But what I find is, again, a disconnect with regards to the market. We've got a local producer, which is the only UK producer, UK company doing it. And then there's no joined up thinking with regards to our development and strategies for rolling out heat pumps. Indeed, if we were to leave this only to developers, developers then rely on something called Category L 2023, which is to basically say that this house here is ready for a heat pump. But then when you look at what's involved in installing a heat pump after the build and then the cost to the individual buyer, it's prohibitive. So we need to put a bit more pressure, and then therefore I'm going to move across to talk about getting policies and supplemental planning documents in place now, even though the local plan would come in the future. And I want to touch on the point in terms of my own experience in the private commercial world and what's happening here at the council. Here at the council, there seems a pervading attitude to say, well, we don't want to waste resources on doing that because something theoretically in the future may happen. This is not how it works in private business. In private business, for example, I've developed countless vaccines and therapeutics over the years which have never reached the light of day because they get to the end of phase 1 and they don't work. But it doesn't mean that we turn around and then say, well, research and development's just pointless. So it's the same mentality there that needs to happen here in terms of we need to try things, and we should not go with this attitude, which has been in this council since the last 12 years or more, to say we're not going to do that because something else might happen in the future. Finally, just another point on the planning is just a joined up thinking about cycling and getting people out of cars may also then fit in with regards to the planning. And another piece is TVCA, STDC, and this is a question, again, they are questions. The statements and questions. Well, I tell you, well, I mean, it's giving help as well.
Can we just, a bit of order,
yeah, can we just ask Councillor Smith just to wait his own turn?
Tristan, just get your question, please.
So the question is, first of all, can we see a supplementary planning document for with regards to climate change specific, and write that quickly? Can we see joined up thinking with TVC and a specific trees policy? And then with regards to what's happening at the south of the Tees, can we exert some sort of influence, please, with regards to climate change and targets in the STDC? These are all valid points. I've got this knowledge from having worked in the outside world, so you've got to bring it to the council chamber.
Just before I bring Councillor Richards in, can we have a bit of professionalism when we speak into each other, yeah? Just at the beginning, yeah? Because obviously we're all councillors and I expect everyone to treat each other with respect, yeah? Councillor Richardson.
Round of applause. I think I did something. In regards to the AI Google cache, yes, please explain it to me. It's not something I've looked into. I don't see why we wouldn't use new technology where we can. STDC, TVCA's carbon neutral target is 2040, not 2030. So the TVCA, yeah. So it doesn't completely align with ours. And I don't know what you mean by. Well, that's why there's carbon capture being designed and built on the back of it. I'm not a scientist, so we can. Well.
Right, so can we just.
As to can we have a supplementary planning document? It's something we can look at. That's what the nature recovery strategy is. Of course, we can look at that. I haven't had a great deal to do in planning, but I don't see why not. And I don't know what the rest of the questions were. Okay.
Thank you. We're moving on to Councillor Thompson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A very comprehensive report, a great range of responsibility. this forum is not really a position to look in detail at everything that you have responsibility for. So whilst we are invited to speak for up to 3 minutes, Mr. Mayor, it's not possible under this structure to have a discussion. So I have already asked if the climate scrutiny could receive the Scarborough figures to discuss, to debate, to unravel, and to explore. But I'm going to ask the chair of scrutiny to take the whole of this report to scrutiny because there is so much in it. Now, one of the items that is referred to in the report is ISAG. And despite the compliments that were given to staff, and I've got no reason to dispute these, what I would say is that the reporting rate for ISAG is not adequate. It is too tardy. It is inadequate in the detail, and we really must improve on that if organisations and volunteers are to put on events with confidence and support. One of the items that was referred to in your report is on page 46, and if I read, if I can find it quickly, sorry. Saltburn Hill Climb. This is, apart from the grammar, and I'm sure you haven't written this, apart from the highly popular non-competitive hill climb that have run in Saltburn for many a year. It's not happening, is it? It's cancelled. So why have we allowed an event that has given so much pleasure to so many to the northeast to be cancelled? So can there be, Cabinet Member, a meeting at the earliest opportunity with ward members to explore 2025? So I don't expect a full explanation today, but my simple question is, can we meet to talk about next year? And then my last question really relates to an item that I'm sure the leader has a firm grasp on, toilets. So we are appalled in Saltburn at the lack of progress in delivering 24-hour toilet availability. We've seen the steam figures, 2 million visitors per year. We had one of the iconic events that we're reminded that it is on Sunday. The toilets were opened but not cleaned. That is, dare I say it, a real stain on this authority. So we must do better. So again, I would ask if you could confer with the leader, if you ever get a chance to find him, and really get this toilet provision resolved. And just as a final point, which I know is not a question to you, but it's a piece of information that might help a certain councillor here, the spend in Saltburn is £52.87.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
I apologise for not picking up on the grammar error. I did read and reread and reread it. So my fault for not picking that up. The ISAG process I know is frustrating and difficult for lots of people to get through. If we can simplify it, I would be 100% in support of that. We didn't cancel the hill climb. We offered the same level of support. I believe there were issues with insurance premiums, but more than happy to meet with them and discuss. And we're having problems with toilets across the borough being vandalised. We even had to put security on in half term to keep them open on the seafront because of the amount of vandalism and other things that are going on in there. So yes, we can look at it, absolutely, but we want them open as much as possible. I did respond to you about ISAG. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Smith, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Richardson, for your report. My query is under the low emission vehicle and transportation section. In it you mention our road sweeper fleet, which are using hydro-treated vegetable oil for their power. Now, I note we have 3 large and 3 small, but if I'm not wrong, we bought 7 small road sweepers in the last administration, which we all named, or the public named. And I think councillors will agree, when we request a road sweeper to come into our wards, the normal response is it's in the workshops. So my question is, the use of this fueling system, is this creating a problem within our fleet? And why are we down to 3 large and 3 small sweepers?
Thank you. Councillor Richardson, please.
It has not created a problem, and they can be flipped straight back onto normal fuel should they need to be. So I know it hasn't caused any issues. I don't know where the other road sweepers are. I'd have to go find out is the honest answer, and I don't know how many we've got. But if we had a lot more and they've gone missing, then we'll look into it.
Thank you. Last speaker, Councillor Joy, please.
Ian, thank you, Carrie, for the report. You'll be pleased to know it's a really simple, quick question. Section 3.2, it's the Achieve programme. So this is the programme, it's probably quite a small cog in the general council delivery, and it's not technically a council thing to deliver because it's funded by the Woodsmith mine. But obviously the impact is massive for the young people that it supports. So it's a great programme. My ask is, have we considered what will happen if there's any fallout of the Woodsmith mine with the redundancies and the slowing down of the business? Is that secure funding, and if so, how long for have we factored that in? Thank you.
Councillor Richardson, please.
Okay. As far as I'm aware, the grant funding hasn't been affected to date as of yet, but Councillor Brown's got a full update if you'd like him to forward it to you, and then you'll have all the information. Thanks.
Thank you, and thank you for your report. Thank you. Right, moving on to number 9. We haven't got any motions. So number 10, appoint members, Cleveland Fire Authority, Councillor Steve Kay to replace Councillor B. Hunt. Is that agreed by everyone? Yeah. All right, brilliant. Moving on to questions. Question 1, Councillor Kay to Councillor Quartermain, please. Cabinet Member for Highways and Transport.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A day never passes without my receiving a complaint or hearing a comment about the pothole state of Stanghow Road, which runs for 3 miles from the A171 at Lockwood Beck via Stanghow Village and Lingdale to Skelton. There are incidents of vehicles swerving to avoid potholes and of others being seriously damaged, resulting in potential claims against this council, not to mention the perils to life and limb. Stanghow Road is due for resurfacing in 2025 to 2026, but this is unacceptably late considering its parlous state. In answer to my requests, the council has done some minimal pothole filling and patching, but this work has been totally inadequate when you consider the condition of large sections of this dangerous and damaging road. The engineers have refused to bring the resurfacing work forward, claiming there are other roads in an even worse state. I'd like to know where they are. The current neglect of Stanghow Road is a glaring example of how East Cleveland is constantly neglected when compared with the downtown western areas of the borough. The shocking state of Stanghow Road would never be tolerated in Redcar or Greater Eston. Were he to experience Stanghow Road for himself, I'm sure the Cabinet member would come to the same conclusion as I, that immediate comprehensive resurfacing is demanded. Therefore, will the Cabinet member undertake to take his life in his hands and drive the full length of Stanghow Road in both directions from the A171 to Skelton and back, so that he can see and feel for himself that long sections of Stanghow Road should be completely resurfaced without further delay or prevarication?
Thank you. Councillor Quartermain, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for your question, Councillor Kay. And I've driven that section many times over. I can let you know. The carriageway treatment programme is a data-led prioritisation of the entire network. Every road in the borough was surveyed to nationally recognised standards, given a condition rating and ranked worst to best. The yearly programme was determined from the budget available each year for highway resurfacing to deal with the roads in the worst condition. Stanghow Road is programmed for resurfacing in 2025-26. It's not in the 2024-25 programme because there are other roads in the borough that require intervention first based on the data collected. A list of these roads can be found in the circulated indicative 6-year programme. Some roads can deteriorate faster than anticipated, at which point we would look to review the programme. Engineers have undertaken a further review of Stanghow Road, firstly on site in April 2024 and again on the 20th of June, and determined that the carriageway was in average condition. Some patching work was identified in isolated areas for which work orders were raised. Regular inspections of the network in line with standards will continue, and any safety critical defects will be dealt with when required. Thank you.
Yes, I was just going to say, do you want one? Yeah.
Few sentences of the reply, but will the Cabinet member do as I ask and drive along it himself in both directions?
Councillor Quartermain.
I think I did answer that part of your question. I've driven that length of the section of that road many times over and in recent times. I think the last time was a couple of weeks ago. I can respond anyway. I've got a little bit more. The total length of the Stanghow Road is 3 miles long. The total length of the carriageway that we manage in the borough is approximately 450 miles. That's the equivalent of Redcar to Penzance. The worst section of Stanghow Road is ranked number 1,632nd on the condition table of the entire network. That's 1,632nd. The survey rated the road in the green category with the recommendations of some preventative maintenance in the next 3 to 5 years. So actually next year's not too bad. The proposed 6-year programme has a total investment of 1.3 million in the Lockwood ward, with 460,000 being spent in 2024-25. 4 schemes in 2024-25 and 11 schemes in total across the whole programme. I don't think Lockwood's being left out, Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Grogan to Councillor Brook. He's not here. We're going to put that right now. Are you going to answer it, Alec?
Question, so if you've got any supplementary and I don't know the answer to it, I'll get Adam and get back to you, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Grassgate 2, the sequel's not as good as the first one from last year. On the 26th of March, I received an email informing me that no more May was going to happen, and you also would have got the same email, Ali. In specific areas of Kirkleatham Ward, along Kirkleatham Lane near the village towards Rosebery Road. This was to help the little bees and the flies and all the little pollinators to do their jobs. By the end of the May, it wasn't just Kirkleatham Lane not touched, but Greengates Field, the field behind Anne Charlton Lodge, which I saw this afternoon is still not cut, and it's the 27th of June. The field between Low Farm Drive, Utreve Avenue and the showground is now a meadow. Also not done are the grass verges, curbs, paths that have weeds and vegetation, grown in some places 12 inches long, in places which in places are now dangerous and now turning into tripping hazards. I, like many other members, have been inundated with angry residents wanting to know why their fields that their children play on haven't been cut to play football, or people are struggling to clean their dog mess in the long grass. Those same dogs and cats picking up ticks, and rats being seen running through that long grass. This is not only a Kirkleatham issue, but in wards like Eston, Wheatlands, Longbeck, St Germains, Grangetown, and many other areas and wards. We, as a council, give beyond housing it with both barrels last year about this issue, and now we are doing the same mistake, and residents who paid their hard-earned cash in council tax are holding us members to account now as they pay for their fields, verges and roads and paths to be clear. So the questions are, why aren't the verges paths were done prior and during May? Why did I receive an email telling me one thing and the council doing another? And how much has the council saved in this exercise? Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
This was the Bolton Lake question, but it's not. I'll answer the prescribed question. The answer from Adam, what I've raised exactly the same bits. I see on your Facebook page as well when you put the videos on. So I've raised it all with neighbourhoods anyway. But I'll read out what Adam was going to say. Street teams have faced a number of challenges this spring, mainly due to the unprecedented amount of rain impacting on all areas, but more significantly on large open space land. In previous years, we have started cutting as early as February, but this year, due to the weather, it was April before our standard grass cutting routes could be even attempted. We have endeavoured to catch up on the programme, although this is more difficult now to the reduction in street scene operatives as a result of cuts agreed in 2023. We have been able to maintain our standard route in Great Reston, which allowed resources to be moved to support other teams. Our experience tells us that with a period of good weather, we should be able to maintain our 3 weekly route. We appreciate that members are receiving complaints about grass cutting, but we will endeavour to catch up as soon as possible. The team are also due to start our annual principal road maintenance, which requires a significant amount of our resources to complete the work within the allocated road closure time. As members know, we are committed this year to no more May. At the time, we had not anticipated the weather and reduction of resources would impact on the catch-up to the end of May. However, the teams are now making headway. A survey has been commissioned for the residents' opinion of no more May and serious consideration whether to take part in this campaign again. I would say, as the leader of the council, I'll be feeding into that consultation. That probably hasn't gone as well as we thought it would. Members will also be aware of the council motion to stop the use of pesticide on soft surfaces and support biodiversity. This has impacted on the look of how many areas with grass growing around signposts, bollards, etc. It is proposed to review this approach at the end of the grass cutting season. So it's a bit of a perfect storm, really. If you're 2 months late starting because of the weather, then you know I'm not going to go on a big cuts or political slant, and then the pesticide stuff as well. So I think it's all about making sure that it improves. Of course you can.
Obviously, you're saying cuts. How much has the council saved by not doing no more May? That was one of the questions. I don't know if you've got an answer to that.
I'll get Adam to get back to you.
You, Alec, I understand. We're on the same patch. We see it. We get inundated, and I totally understand that. We've had a lot of rain. It's been, well, summer's just took like 6 months. We've had no spring really, just gone through. Beyond Housing have managed to keep on top of theirs this year, to our surprise, to be honest with you, after last year's debacle. And but there's a lot of residents out there that feel like they're stuck in the house because we've left it grow so long. You've got people who suffer from allergies, you've got hay fever sufferers, eczema sufferers, asthma sufferers, that obviously all this extra pollen in the world will just like start making things even worse for them. And it's our responsibility as corporate parents to help them and their children to be safe. So we need, like you mentioned, to keep it going. And for me, the showground should be left as it is, and that should be our section of No More May. In my opinion, it's big enough unless it's going to get used. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Councillor Grogan, we learn, and I tend to agree on the No More May spots to be places like the showground, not in the middle of residential areas. Okay.
Councillor Brown, are you going to take the next question, question 3 as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Grogan to Councillor Brown, please.
Councillor Brooks offer. He seems to get all the hard legs in this council. Every time there's something that comes around, it seems to be Councillor Brook. So, we've got some members here from the Redcar Bolton Model Boat Club. They'll give you the wave. So I was asked by a resident, who was a Carcleton resident, who was a member of the Redcar Model Boat Club, who held their own regatta on the 80th anniversary of D-Day, which our town did brilliantly, like what Mr Mayor said. And was shown the gauge of the water level has dropped to 10 inches. I've since spoken to them, and it's actually at 9 inches or even lower now with the hot weather that we've had. Even after all the winter and the rain that you've mentioned, it should be in the region between 22 inches high for the club members to be able to use their boats. I asked Adam on the 20th of September last year in full council why the Bolton Lake hadn't been filled properly. His answer was that the lake was within the ongoing regeneration works in Cotham and wider Redcar area. The new hotel is slowly coming together, and the hub and Majumba is now complete. He confirmed that the council are actively looking for options in improving the operation and accessibility of the lake, looking to explore commercial uses going forward. He stated that in this council doesn't have the revenue in the department to carry out any physical works. What avenues have been explored, and why hasn't the lake got any more water?
Councillor Brown.
First of all, I've spoken to some of you guys, haven't I, in the past on this, and it's an ongoing issue with that boat lake because it's so old. The pump costing £10,000 a time when it drags sand through. At the moment, it appears to have a leak, and it's about finding out where that leak is. But again, Adam and I'm not going to read it all out because a lot of it is the same as you got last time. However, this time, what we're going to do is reallocate some funds from the levelling up, the additional levelling up money, and that will give it a spruce up and repair it. And that'll get done over the coming weeks, assuming that we get this capital freed up through the levelling up fund. Okay. Just out of interest, is there any like Lock Park? Is there too many weeds there, or yeah, it's not right, okay. But it's very much on my radar, and we'll get this done as quickly as possible for you. Okay. Can we get a temporary fill now, like we did last time? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What? Sorry. Well, I haven't because I've only been leading the council for a year, but.
Right, can we
well,
just...
you were the cabinet member, weren't you?
Councillor.
It has, in that time, I completely feel your frustration, and in that time, we have, like, months ago, when did we last fill it? So it has been filled, but somewhere there's a leak, and it's about finding out where that leak is.
Right, can we have some order, please? Because really, it's just between you two, you know what I mean? No disrespect.
Sorry. Well, they're here. They're time to come here. They deserve that. I'll speak to them, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But, whoa, on a minute. It's questions between Councillor Grogan. I haven't got a problem with you acknowledging them, but you can't have a conversation. We want to meet them afterwards. Councillor Grohl, do you want a supplementary, please?
Yes, if you don't mind. Yeah, like you mentioned, if there's a leak, it needs to be sorted and rectified quite soon. I've got some information off the gentlemen themselves. The pump was overhauled over 2 years ago at approximately £7,000. Now, he doesn't state if it's come from council or it's come from private or whatever. But in the meantime, there used to be a guy that used to go down to the pump house and open the valve, and they get between 2 and 3 spring tides every month that actually can fill the lake up, or give them something so they can do their activities. But I was just looking on Facebook, and I know that Councillor Levan, and like she mentioned, spell her name correct, I had seen on there, she's getting her in the ward, the paddling pool, and like you mentioned, you're going to find some money to help these guys out, and I just hope that it comes through and you stick to your word. So thank you.
Councillor Brown. No, sorry.
You're getting me in trouble, sorry.
Councillor Brown.
Yes, the paddling pool, same historical issues, not quite like the Bolton Lake, because we all know the Bolton Lake like is really, really, really old. My mum tells me every time we pass there, she lost a ball in there when she was a kid. But yeah, rest assured, it's very much on my radar now, and I've given my word to these gentlemen. Okay? Cheers.
Thank you for that. Question for Councillor Leroy to Councillor Nightingale, please.
Councillor Nightingale, you served on the TVCA Overview and Scrutiny Committee until May 2019, and then from May 2023 to this present day. In the intervening period, you were Director for Teesside Airport and a Cabinet Member for Corporate Resources here at Redcar and Cleveland. You have a great deal of insight into what happened over this period at both Teesworks and Teesside Airport. Through contact with the TVCA, oversight of council accounts for items such as incoming and outgoing payments. When put under pressure by then Councillor Sue Jeffrey regarding Teesside Airport, you made a comment to a local democracy reporter on the 27th of September 2021, calling for greater transparency regarding dealings at Teesside Airport. This is the only provision of information to the public you have seemingly made, despite all the unfolding scandals surrounding TVCA associated ownership deals. The UK government's independent review report into the TVCA and STDC was published on the 29th of January 2024. One would have expected you to have contributed to the review, indeed I did. Why does your name not appear as one of those who submitted evidence?
Councillor Nightingale, please.
I'm very grateful to Councillor Leroy for the question. It gives me an opportunity to clarify the facts about a number of issues relating to the TVCA and STDC independent report. First of all, the TVCA Scrutiny Committee has no reach whatsoever into the affairs of the STDC. And by implication, the scrutiny committees of this council have no reach into the affairs of the STDC either. Second, this concerns the definition of evidence given to the review panel. The review panel report makes quite clear that there are two sets of evidence provided to them. Individuals with specific information and specific roles were asked to submit information by the review panel. There were extensive interviews, especially face-to-face. This did not include me. Next, some individuals volunteered information. This did not include me. Third, the remit of the independent review panel is to review, is in the report, tells you what the remits are, and they're also in Appendix 1. I had no evidence to give concerning corruption, wrongdoing, illegality in relation to the governance and finances of the TVCA or STDC, which are the precise issues that the independent review was asked to do by the government.
Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Leroy? Thank you. Right, moving on to, are you going to take question 5, Councillor Brown? Yep. Okay then. Councillor Thompson, please. Councillor Brown.
So my question, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for Councillor Brown for answering it. For many years, requests have been made to have the lower promenade at Saltburn served by a suitable CCTV system to improve safety and deter antisocial behaviour and vandalism. Unfortunately, these requests have not been positively responded to. Given the many occasions when vandalism and criminal damage have been committed, and few, if any, prosecutions have been forthcoming, and the latest incident when extreme acts of arson and vandalism have been committed, will there now be a firm commitment to use the resources currently available to install an appropriate CCTV system without further delay?
Councillor Brown, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'll take just a quick few seconds just to really thank the neighbourhoods team for the timely manner they responded to the bin. The awful 8 bins got set on fire, and by early morning they were out with a substitute. I know it's not perfect, but thank you to the neighbourhoods team. Brian, if you could pass that down to the team, please, for the timely manner. Just to answer the prescribed question from Adam, Unfortunately, the current CCTV system has been limited in its ability to take on new cameras due to its age and being on an analogue system. We are presently looking to award a contract for the refurbishment of the CCTV control room and cameras. This will take the operation from analogue to digital and will offer more flexibility to add in additional temporary and permanent cameras. Additional cameras will be looked at for Saltburn as part of the process, looking at connectivity and location. It is accepted that additional CCTV is a valuable crime prevention tool, as well as provide community reassurance. But it should be noted that even when crime and antisocial behaviour is observed by the CCTV team and relevant data are provided to the police, prosecution is not guaranteed. And also, Councillor Thompson, if you could pass on my thanks to, I think it was the Fish Shop and a few other local businesses that shared their CCTV on the recent arson attack. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Thompson?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So my supplementary is based on the very positive response given by the council leader, and that is to say that Saltburn will be being considered as part of the review of the new system and when that is being reviewed. So my supplementary question is, in addition to positively looking at it, when will it be delivered? And I know that you have long pieces of string in your pocket, but I would like some definitive target date.
Councillor Brown.
Did I know you were going to ask when? I shall make sure Saltburn is definitely high on that list, because it's costing the neighbourhoods team so much from the budget as well with the vandalism and things. I shall get Adam and Brian to give you an ETA as soon as possible. Okay.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson to Councillor L, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question to Councillor L is, in December 2023, I asked if Redcar and Cleveland Council would endeavour to become a stoma-friendly organisation as soon as possible, and to show leadership in the borough by encouraging all organisations to follow its example. In Encouraged by the very positive response from the Cabinet member, it was anticipated that some real progress would have been made in 6 months. Can members be advised what has been achieved during this period and what remains to be done to achieve the original aspiration?
Councillor Earl, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Yes, I'm absolutely delighted to be able to give you this update. An appraisal of the Council's accessible public toilets as well as accessible toilets in key frontline public-facing buildings has been completed. This survey established the requirements to improve the facilities set out by Colostomy UK. The buildings which will have their accessible toilets become stoma-friendly are Gisborough Library, Duncan Place Loftus, Civic Centre Redcar, Redcar and Cleveland House, Seafield House, Redcar Beacon, all accessible public toilets across the borough. The installation of the various pieces of equipment, including hooks, shelves, mirrors, and suitable disposal bins in each of these locations has commenced, with the toilets in these buildings to be recognised as being stoma-friendly by mid-July. And just before the council meeting, I was sent photographs as evidence of the stoma-friendly facilities at Northgate, Fountain Street, and the Lower Promenade. Once completed, signage will be installed indicating these toilets are suitable for stoma users. The council will also provide an update to Colostomy UK highlighting the important changes Redcar and Cleveland Borough Council have made. And when we have finished that programme of accessible toilets in council buildings and front-face buildings, the second part of your question, I remember, was encouraging businesses within our council area to also make their accessible toilets stoma-friendly, and we will keep on doing that.
Do you have a supplementary, Councillor Thompson?
Thank you. So, firstly, can I thank the Cabinet member for the detail of the response and the positive success that has been achieved, and it is good to learn of it. What I would ask is that we ensure that the maximum publicity is given to the facilities, so that everyone who possibly could avail themselves of the opportunity of usage, that is to say residents and visitors, are fully aware of the facilities. And I would like to have some sort of timescale, Mr. Mayor, if it's possible, for when we are going to be able to fully engage with all other organisations that are pertinent within the borough. And I would hope that this could extend within Tees Valley, because we are a large family here, and I'm sure resources could be shared to enable greater availability of such essential facilities. So if I could have clarity on those points, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor L, please.
Thank you. Yes, I can assure you we will give publicity to this. I have already spoken to the stoma nurse for our area, and there is a good sort of stoma network around the Tees Valley. I truly can't give you a timescale for how we can get stoma-friendly facilities within our businesses. That's not something that I can possibly do, but I can perhaps give you an update in due course about what businesses we have approached and what their response has been to that, and I hope that's satisfactory.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson to Councillor Quartermain, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my question to Councillor Quartermain is, on completion of the Catnab car park expansion works in 2022, it was envisaged that income would be received by the council for parking fees for overnight stay. Despite the discussions on the merit of gaining legitimate additional revenue from such fees, there has been no implementation of overnight charging. Given that members have been advised that parking fees are determined by members and will be implemented after member discussion, who has taken the decision not to introduce legitimate charging, losing the council over 2 years of badly needed revenue?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Thompson. 2022, this came in about a year before the administration took over. There were initial concerns that the introduction of an overnight parking charge at Catnap car park could lead to the displacement of camper vans into other parts of Saltburn, such as Marine Parade. Following informal consultation and discussions with ward members, this concern has been allayed to some degree, as feedback from campervan owners is that they are willing to pay a reasonable fee to park overnight in the car park, correct? There has been a disconnect, and the proposals for Catnab car park can now commence, given that there is a consensus on the new charges.
Mr. Mayor, I'm finding it difficult to phrase it because whilst I'm very interested in the response from Councillor Quartermain, it did not actually answer the question I posed. So, given the statement that has been given in response to my question, I'm very pleased to learn that there is now a positive mindset that would allow this policy to be implemented. And therefore my question is, now that we have agreed a mindset and that bearing in mind the policy will be determined and led by members, when can we expect that overnight charging in Catnab car park will commence?
Thank you, Councillor. Well, as you know, the process of introducing new car parking charges is usually quite lengthy due to the additional processes that need to be followed, such as the amendment to the TRO, the traffic regulation orders, which can require a period of public consultation, as you know, and also the need to arrange parking machines to be reprogrammed. So as soon as possible, I've already sent that into the director to get the process going.
Mr. Mayor. Part of Eston is called California. It's named California after the California gold rush, which we had when we discovered iron ore in the hills, which then led on to the expansion of British Steel and ICI. So that expansion we had created a wealth in the area here on Teesside. Sorry? Yeah, whatever. Which created the wealth here on Teesside with ICI and British Steel. British Steel, where my father worked, my grandfather worked, and my great-grandfather worked, and sadly was killed there during his work. I might be sitting on this side of the chamber, but I believe councillors should put the community and the council first before politics. So, at a recent meeting, the Labour parliamentary candidate for Redcar Constitution supported calls for an investigation into the Tees works by the National Audit Office. Does this Labour administration support such a review, which will cost jobs, investment, and put the council's finances at risk? Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I first read this question, I thought electioneering and scaremongering a week before polling day, but then I seen the council it came from. Okay, I hold you in very high regard. I know your motivation is grassroots. Okay, so I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, just to put a little bit of context on this and how I answer you, Councillor Taylor. Can you tell me which jobs that you think are going to be in jeopardy if the books were looked into? Yeah, which jobs, and why do you think? I've been part of the TVC and the STDC for over a year now. I haven't seen anything I would consider to be corrupt, illegal. definitely seen private profiteering, but that wheel was invented before I took my seat, and it is what it is to get progress done. I haven't got an issue with that. So yeah, just to put a little bit of context on it, why do you think having somebody say, well, your books are absolutely fine, would cost anybody any jobs? And then I'll come back.
As we can all see the positive impact it's having here in the area, with thousands of jobs already in investment. One that was put at risk when Andy MacDonald recently called for an investigation, won a £600 million investment, possibly to move to Tyneside. It would stop jobs, it would harm potential investment, possibly for over a year until the National Audit Office is complete. The land was worth minus 200 million, with a review of the project over 7 years, all right, for remediation. That cost was set at 500 million. Sea Winds alone is set to set this council at £10 million of business rates, set to come next year. NZT is expected to bring 3,500 jobs, business rates of 40 million. The battery storage expected to bring 20 million. By 2027, 2028, this council is set to get in over 200 million pounds of business rates. That, in a recent conversation I had with you, you expected it to be 7 million. That's given the council's financial future solely dependent on the success of Teesworks. Any investigation will put security and local service at risk. Is it really what you want as leader of the council, putting politics first over the council and the community? Could even help places like Saltburn to redevelop.
Councillor Taylor, I'd say this question is exactly what you're accusing me of, politics before the people. Can you give me one example of the National Audit Office looking at anyone's books where it's completely stopped business as usual? Just one example. Of course you can't, because it would. Yeah, do you think See You Win? Let me answer your question. I'll listen to you. Do you think See You Win, Councillor Grogan, please, with its multi-million pounds spent, is going to stop and say, right lads, we're not doing this anymore, because somebody's looking at the books just to make public money spent? Okay, now I would say if it did have somebody look at the books, do you agree that the TVCA on that site has had a lot of reputational damage over the last couple of years? Whether it's not just Andy MacDonald, members of the public, I sit and members of the public gallery, and they constantly post all over social media regarding the reputation of the TVCA and Teesworks. If somebody came in and said, these books are fine, which I totally expect them to do, would that not increase investment onto the site? Because people that may think that there's something wrong with the reputation would come. Now, if on these pretenses, no, we wouldn't back it. What you're saying, we wouldn't back jobs to be stopped instantly and for investment, no, we wouldn't. But that's not what happens when they look at the books, David. So your question is misleading.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Another very pedestrian question now. I know spending, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Carrie. I know spending is at an all-time low, with cuts to local government being so scant that we must be absolutely aware that there's a balance to be had about how we spend our money. But when the library's consultation plan was implemented, the decision to mandate staff moves from Gisborough Library to Southbank Library and vice versa seems neither one of spending concerns or public service concerns. The impact on staff to have to uproot their arrangements is considerable, with travel costs, increased travel time, impact on childcare or caring responsibilities cannot be underestimated. The impact on public can be measured by the voices of library hub users who feel the comfort of their usual familiar faces has gone, as well as the inevitable yet understandable change in opening hours, as well as the fallout of several groups like Toddler Rhyme Time having to be cancelled due to a changing staff members. Libraries are only one of the only public-facing services. If we fail to look after the work-life balance of our people and end up with an exodus of staff leaving, it will force an expensive and patchy service while we go through a recruitment process. So what will we be doing to listen to our staff?
It is a different service, it's cut to the bone. There is no cover now, so when somebody's off, we are forced to close locations. You know, that's a result of the service cuts. But I'll read about what the management have said about the moving of the staff. An important factor in the library service review is that it must operate as a service, not as a series of individual independent library branches. As such, staff members are expected to be able to work in any location that is required. Due to the serious reduction in staffing levels, all staff are given a home library, the library they would go to if they're not required elsewhere. All staff were communicated with regarding this throughout the review process, and it was reinforced to them during staff interviews and conversations that there was a requirement for them to be flexible for the needs of the service, whether that be a location or a duty. All staff confirmed they understood when applying for those positions and not the other customer services positions which were advertised at the same time. Whilst we appreciate all the work the staff have done in developing the library they have previously been at, any change should be seen as an opportunity to develop other branches and communities. There is an expectation that South Bank will have numerous activities and events going on just like other libraries do, and all staff will be involved in organising and coordinating these. There is great scope and opportunity to grow the offer at South Bank based on all that's been achieved at Gisborough. It proves the staff are well equipped to do this, growing the customer base in offering events that may not be offered currently. With regards to cancellation of events at Gisborough Library, it can be confirmed that the children's rhyme time session is still continuing on the same day and time as it was previously and remains well attended. As this session is now facilitated by different staff, there are inevitably slight differences in the new sessions, but we are happy that these fulfil the core aims of a rhyme time session. It remains interactive, inclusive, and provides parents, carers and children the opportunity to enjoy songs, rhyme, rhythm, movement and fun in a free environment.
Yeah, my supplementary question, I'm totally on board with spreading the love around the borough. That's really important. My ask is that we just keep listening to staff because the people make the service work. The service doesn't work on its own, the people make it work. And my concern is that when you lose really valuable staff, they're really difficult to replace. So please, my ask would be, please, can we keep on listening to staff at appropriate times?